In today's video, we're going to start a new series where we analyze each position in the 2021 NFL Draft, and we're going to create a top 5 prospect list for the position that we're analyzing. Today we're starting off with quarterback, and now we have Andy with our 5th ranked quarterback.
All right, coming in at number 5, we have the quarterback out of North Dakota State, Trey Lance. This year he hasn't actually played at all. I think he actually just played like one game. But what we're really looking at is his performance last year. Through 16 games, he threw for 2,700 yards as well as rushing for 1,000. He also threw 28 touchdowns without a single interception, which is pretty impressive. However, important things that NDSU is a Division II team. So obviously, his opponents weren't as good as some of the other quarterbacks on this list, and that's why we have him in 5th rather than higher. Personally, I have him in 4th, above the player that we're going to mention later in this video. But I just really think that even though Trey Lance isn't maybe as experienced, he does have incredible upside with his ability to run extremely well, and as well as his extremely strong arm. But because we have him 5th, we have him projected to go around the mid to late first round. Although I could see him going even higher into the early first round with a team like the Panthers. But I think that really any team that needs a quarterback and is not in a win now mode should take him, because he's not super experienced yet, but I think he has that high potential. So that's why he's more like a developmental player that will be a stud in 3 to 4 years or so. So I think the Panthers are a great example of a team like that. Other teams that could take him are, the Giants. You have the football team later down the board, and other teams like that.
We're going to move on to our 4th ranked quarterback, and we have the quarterback from Alabama, Mack Jones. There's a few things which are really cool about him. He threw for the most yards in the FBS this year with 4,500. He has had many wide receivers to throw to who are amazing, including Jalen Waddle last year and Devonta Smith this year. He threw for 41 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions while being on Alabama, on their way to an undefeated season and national championship win, beating many people along the way who are also projected to go high in the draft. There's a few things about him. He's only really a one-year starter. He played for 2-3 games last season. Actually, he lost a couple of games last season, put Alabama out of the playoff hunt after the Tua injury. But this year, he definitely came back. He had a really strong, 77% completion percentage, and he's averaging 11 yards a throw. Everything is really solid about him. However, he's only been here for 1 year. I think most teams will be a little bit cautious about him. He's not a 3-year starter, 2-year starter like many of these other guys who we have a bit higher. I think that he isn't the most mobile quarterback. I mean, he only got 14 rushing yards this season, so many people above him also are quite mobile. He's also he's a very interesting prospect because you don't have too much tape on him, but the tape that you have is really good. I think that there's going to be many teams in the mid first round who's going to be looking for a guy like him. I could see the Patriots taking him at 15, possibly even the 49ers if they try to trade Jimmy Garoppolo for some more pieces. They might take him at number 12. And obviously the football team at 19 would be another place for him to land. But overall, we have him ranked as the number 4 prospect.
At number 3, we have a player that a lot of people have at number 2, but we have Zach Wilson in terms of raw prospect ability. He threw for 3,700 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions with a very impressive 74% completion percentage. Some of his strengths include being a great passer. He has a really strong arm, and he's very accurate with contested throws. He's also very accurate with the deep ball, and he's also athletic, meaning that he can escape the pocket and get some runs. He's not exceedingly athletic like Lamar Jackson or Cam Newton, but he's probably as athletic as Patrick Mahomes, so he can make some runs and he can escape the pocket pretty easily. Some downsides include BYU having a really easy schedule. Zach Wilson and his O-line and wide receivers were just so much better than his competition, so he absolutely steamrolled all of his opponents with the exception of one from Carolina. He also made some bad throws under pressure, and this is normal for some college quarterbacks. But instead of throwing the ball away or just taking the sack, he just made some really bad throws. He got away with this in college, but this is obviously not going to slide in the NFL. Another downside is how he only had one standout season. His rookie and sophomore seasons were mediocre at best, where he threw for 12 touchdowns and 3 interceptions as a freshman and 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions as a sophomore. But overall, Zach Wilson is a great prospect, but we had him at number 3 in our list.
All right, based on our number 3, I'm pretty sure that you're sure who we have at number 2, and that is going to be Justin Fields out of Ohio State. So this year he played decently, but not amazingly. He had 2,100 yards, as well as 22 touchdowns and 6 picks. But really, his better season was last year when he had 3,000 yards, twice the touchdowns basically at 41, and half the interceptions at 3. So basically, the main thing that I would say about Justin Fields, I think he's very comparable to a player like Cam Newton, or more like a prime Cam Newton than this like trash Patriots Cam Newton we saw this season. He's a very mobile quarterback, but also pretty large, so he can run up the gut rather than someone more like Lamar Jackson who's looking to scramble to the outside. And he also has pretty decent arm talent as well. However, the main issue that we've seen with him is sometimes he gets a little bit I guess overconfident in his abilities. He tries to force passes that he shouldn't be forcing. And that's largely a reason why his interception numbers have increased this year. But overall, the reason that we have him ranked above Zach Wilson is because even though he wasn't better this year, he was probably better overall in his full college career. And he also had that amazing game against Clemson, where he led them to the college finals. And I think even though Zach Wilson maybe has the higher floor, um, Justin Fields definitely has the higher ceiling in terms of his potential. I think he's obviously going to be an early first round pick. He could go to the Falcons, I think, and kind of be under Matt Ryan's wing for 1 or 2 years before receiving a starting job. Or he could even be taken by the Jets.
And now for probably the least surprising number 1 quarterback, we are going to be taking from South Dakota State. No, I'm just kidding. We're going from Clemson, Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, this is pretty easy pick. He is a 3-year starter, a 34-2 record as a starter, being Clemson with their crazy schedule and that they have, especially going to 3 college football playoffs, 2 national championships, winning 1. This past season, he had around 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. But his best season was probably last year, where he had around 3,700 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 8 picks. So basically, he is, many people call him the best prospect since Andrew Luck, which is kind of weird because that's exactly what they said last year about Joe Burrow. But who knows? There's a lot to talk about him. He is a decently mobile quarterback. He isn't a Justin Fields or anything, but he got last year around 500 to 600 yards on the ground. This year, only 200 to 300. So he has a lot of room to grow, but he is definitely a really strong arm talent. He's very accurate in his throws, and he has like a lot of IQ in late game scenarios. He has definitely shown that he's able to lead game-winning drives. He's able to lead a dominant offense. He's had games where he's thrown like 5-6 touchdowns and a half. But I think overall, his mechanics as a quarterback, his height, he's really tall, and his experience as a starter at a university, working with many amazing staff, facing amazing defenses. And I think like he has the experience that he will be going number 1 to the Jags. It's gonna be really interesting to see how he pans out in the NFL, especially on a team like the Jags with not a lot of offensive weapons around him. But it'll be definitely interesting to see how well he does. I think that one of the things which Trevor Lawrence is a bit not as great as the other people is he sometimes is a bit hesitant in like some like in some scenarios, and he doesn't always opt for the right decision between running and throwing, because sometimes he throws some bad passes in open field. Sometimes he runs in like third down, just isn't the greatest scenarios. But I think that can easily be changed by coaching. Now, going to the Jags, I don't know how much coaching he'll get. Many people are saying that he'll be one of the greatest prospects, greatest quarterbacks ever. I don't think we're going to go that high on him. We just think that he's probably the best prospect there is, most talented, and he currently is going to be the best on day one.
All right, let us know which rankings you agreed with. I'm sure you hopefully agree with our ranking of Trevor Lawrence at number 1. But next, we're probably going to do running backs. But let us know if there's a certain position you would want us to do instead. This is the Benchwarmers signing off. See ya.